Can we have a conversation about the Chiefs?
Yeah, we should have a conversation about the Chiefs.
We missed, you and I together,
on missing out on betting the Raiders.
We know Mahomes never covers big numbers. We know that offense is shit. How could we allow them to lay 10.5 and us not take advantage of it? Do you realize how shitty the Chiefs are? That the Raiders did not complete a pass after the first quarter of that football game?
What is this, the Big Ten West?
Right. But here's the other thing. This is the other problem I have with the media. It's time to rip Mahomes.
Yes.
It's time to rip Kelsey. Like Kelsey, this is the easiest thing in the world. Enough with the fucking commercials. Enough with the podcast. Enough with the famous relationship. Because here's what we're here to see. You on the field. The only reason you exist on this earth is because you play football. No one cares about you for anything else that you do except football. And you're dog shit. You're terrible. You've been terrible and largely useless all year. Oh, but he's getting old. You're right. Oh, but his body's breaking down. Maybe. But you know what the key is? It's distraction. All of it. I don't need to see you in 7 different commercials over the course of me watching a game. I don't need you bitching about the media in your podcast. I don't need you recording songs with your brother. And I don't need to see any more of you with Taylor Swift. Because here's the deal. Shannon Sharpe said it best. And you guys will go, Mike, how can you say this? Easy. Because I have the same approach. Shannon Sharpe told women in his life, you will always come second to my career. My career is short. I'm giving it everything I have. You will always come in second to football. Travis Kelce is putting football second because he's dropping passes. He's falling all over himself. And I'm sorry, distraction is set in. Now, 2, Mahomes, here's the other thing. You lose the right to scream and yell at people and get in people's face when you're throwing pick sixes, when you're mishandling snaps. Pat, do me a favor. Stop yelling at Andy Reid. Do better. Pat Mahomes has looked largely awful. And I am done with this idea of, oh, well, he doesn't have enough help. Oh, motherfucker Jones, stop it. For years, we celebrated this man when he was essentially heightened Brock Purdy.
Oh, don't do that.
All right, I had to just see if I could get that by
Don't do
you.
that.
No, my point is when he had Tyreek and when he had the super team, and we all talked about how great he was. Well, when everything's not perfect, show me you're like Peyton Manning. When Peyton Manning was making Jacob Tamme a star or Blair White a star.
Brandon Stokely
a star. You know what your job is? Elevate somebody's scrub-a-dubs.
Well, they got to catch the ball, too. I want to be clear here. Mahomes should get more heat than he has. He absolutely should. The fumble,
and his petulant behavior.
And
enough.
Yeah, he's throwing tantrums now.
Enough.
His receivers got to catch the ball, too, but he is officially part of this problem.
Yeah.
I think you can no longer give him a free pass.
Kelsey's got to retire. Go be famous. Go do all your shit. You're no longer a serious football player at this point because him on the field, Jim, he is useless.
I think this is more Father Time than it is Taylor Swift, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to tell you that
I'm
you're
not
wrong
blaming
for the
her alone.
distraction.
I'm blaming him. He's stretched too thin. It's too much of the sizzle, not enough of the steak. All these corporate ads, all the podcasts, it's a lot of Draymond Green shit. Oh, we're doing podcasts after games. You play like shit. Stop. Dedicate to your craft. Do you know what a serious football player does at age 34? Cuts out all the noise knowing I don't have much left in the toothpaste tube and I want one more ring. Ask yourself.
Do we have a ton of examples of tight ends getting into their mid-30s? Like Gronk was done by this point,
I don't think
right?
we have examples of many players getting into their mid-30s.
But
the
think
ones
that's
who have...
more of what it. I'm not trying to do this, but I do think it's a lot of lazy. It's Taylor Swift and the distraction. He's older. He doesn't have the same yards after the catch.
Fine.
He doesn't have the same spring in his step. The drops, maybe that's a concentration issue, and that's the best argument you could make. But the reality is, he wasn't going to sustain. There was eventually going to be a drop-off, and it seems like at this juncture in your mid-30s...
It just happens to coincide with him becoming a multimedia star, along with having the highest profile relationship on the planet. I think that's convenient. Now, if you say both things can be true,
fine.
Cupcakes for all.
Fine.
And I'm not pinning this on her. I'm not pinning it just on the ads or just on the pod or just on the media appearances.
You think it's everything?
I think it's everything, Jim. And I think at a certain...
You don't do yourself any favors.
At a certain point, you just got to do your fucking job. You know where your bread's buttered? On the football field.
So this is the issue with the Chiefs. And I have a thought, too, on how this season ends for Kansas City. But here's the issue. For years, teams have played the two high safeties. to take away the deep ball because Mahomes is just wired that way where he can throw it and uncork it. So teams play too high, and the answer has always been Travis Kelce on a linebacker, Travis Kelce in space in the middle. If he's not that dynamic playmaker, you start looking around and go, okay, what the hell is this offense? And now they're finding Rice, but there's really not a lot else for Mahomes to do, and I think he's pressing. I think he's panicking. I think he's melting down. We can see that, and he's not handling it well. Now, are they dead? Are you willing to bury the Chiefs? Because I'm not.
I am.
They are the number 2 defense in the NFL.
Yeah, but
Mahomes is still Mahomes. I'm not burying
They
him.
have to win games 20-17.
Can they? I mean,
I
Mike,
don't think it's
the
happening.
only defense giving up fewer points this season than Kansas City is Baltimore. They're giving up fewer points than San Francisco, Buffalo, and Dallas. And they still have Patrick Mahomes. I think it's broken. But that doesn't mean they can't fix it.
That's fine.
They're going to get enough chances in low-scoring games
But
for him to have a moment or two in the playoffs.
All right, so look, maybe they win the wild card round. They're not beating Buffalo.
They're not beating who now?
They're not beating Buffalo. They're not beating Miami. They're not beating the Ravens. And honestly, if you gave me Browns plus 4.5, I don't think they're beating the Browns.
That's a
Listen,
different
man.
argument. Points versus outright.
Oh, no, I'm making a point to you, though, that like the Browns with Joe Flacco are not a touchdown underdog against this team. It shows you how far they've
I
fallen.
agree. They fall.
Now, you put them up against Jacksonville, and I got to look at, the ghost of Trevor Lawrence. You're right. Can they win a
Will
game?
they play the Colts in the playoffs or something? Right.
Like, if they get a free square, am I going to pick them?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jim, they're not.
They already beat the Dolphins this year. I mean, they've had success in the postseason against the Bills. I mean, I'm not telling you bet them to win the Super Bowl today. I just don't feel comfortable burying a team that plays defense with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback.
Do you think they can get to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Then you need to place a bet on them.
What
Your
are the odds right now?
Yeah, go ahead. Bet on a team that's lost like 6 of the
I'm
last
just
8
curious if
games.
there's any
Can't
value.
score in a whorehouse. Tight end is more interested in doing interviews and bitching and complaining. The quarterback's acting like a baby with a rattle. Go ahead, bet him right now. Pull it up.
I'm going to pull it up. We have the worst
Buy our
internet in the world in
sponsor,
this room,
FanDuel,
of course.
America's #1 sports book,
Sure.
or as Jim says, make every moment more.
That's their
Jim's
thing.
making every moment more right now.
Mike, we have the worst internet in the world. Can you pull it up on your phone? I mean, this is unbelievable. Normally, it's you complaining.
This is great. Oh, he puts it on me. Okay. Hold, please.
Don't worry, I'm getting social media notifications, but I can't load an app on my phone.
Yeah, well,
Lovely.
You and social media.
I know.
That's another conversation for another day. All right, more NFL, and I am trying to get you the Super Bowl.
I know the
Kansas
Niners
City
are the favorite.
Chiefs right now are plus 950 to win the Super Bowl, and they are plus 450 to win the AFC. So why don't you, here you go, bing, saddle
What did you
up,
throw at me?
big mouth. You think they're still alive? Here you go. Here you go. What is it?
Power trend.
Nope, that's not the right button. The point is, Vito meant to say value.
If I can get it to load, I will bet it.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was damn near 10-1 for Patrick Mahomes to win the Super Bowl.
And I think they're
And
toast.
I think the biggest argument here is their defense. I really do, Mike. I mean, the second level, what they have at the defensive back group, the blitzes that Spagnuolo brings, still Chris Jones in the middle of that defense. It's a bet on the game being played in the teens, and you got Patrick Mahomes.
All right, I wish you good luck with it.
Okay.
Or you could just hand me the money because you owe it to me after UNLV.
Stop it.